So 15 Liberal MPs just did something pretty unusual. They voted against their own government. Not over taxes, not over healthcare, but over weapons. Specifically, where Canadian-made weapons end up after they get shipped to the United States. Welcome to one of the most interesting parliamentary votes you probably haven't heard about yet. Here's the setup. The NDP introduced a private member's bill that would have closed what they call a loophole in Canada's export controls. Right now, Canadian arms and ammunition can be shipped to the US basically permit-free. The NDP's Bill C-233 wanted to change that, forcing export controls on everything heading south of the border, just like we do with every other country. Sounds straightforward, right? Well, it failed last Wednesday, but not before causing some serious division within the Liberal caucus. Let's talk about those 15 rebels who broke ranks. We've got Gurbuck Sani from Fleetwood Port Kells in British Columbia who basically said, "Hey, we live in a democracy, I can vote my conscience." Fair point. Then there's Laurie Eidlaut, who literally just crossed the floor from the NDP, so that vote makes sense. Former Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault also joined the group, along with 12 other Liberal MPs including Patrick Weiler, Samir Zuberi, and Nathaniel Erskine Smith. Green Party leader Elizabeth May voted yes too, while the Conservatives and Bloc Québécois said no. Oh, and 23 MPs didn't vote at all, including 15 Liberals who apparently had better things to do that day. Now here's where it gets interesting. The bill's sponsor, NDP MP Jenny Kwan, brought some heavy hitters to back her up. Two former Liberal cabinet ministers, Alan Rock and Lloyd Axworthy, publicly supported the legislation. They framed it as a choice between maintaining an outdated exemption that undermines Canada's credibility or adopting a modern approach that reflects our actual commitments. Kwan put it directly to Prime Minister Carney, asking if he'd be honest with reality and vote yes. Spoiler: the government said no. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand defended the current system before the vote, pointing out that Canada has one of the strongest export control regimes in the world with human rights considerations applied to every permit for military goods. But here's her main argument. She claimed the changes would decimate Canada's defense industry, weaken our role in NATO, and jeopardize the capabilities of our own armed forces. That's a pretty strong statement, essentially saying that closing this exemption would cause major damage across multiple fronts. So what's actually happening with this permit-free system? The NDP calls it a loophole that allows Canadian-made weapons to be diverted to conflict zones like Sudan or Israel after arriving in the US. The government maintains the exemption is essential to our defense partnership with our largest trading partner. Currently, manufacturers fill out due diligence questionnaires before shipments, answering questions about end buyers, who can verify the use, and whether there are human rights concerns. It's self-reporting, essentially, with oversight from a crown corporation that manages international arms transfers. But there's a complication that makes this more than theoretical. In March 2025, that crown corporation flagged the then International Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc about US-bound artillery propellants that were partially destined for Israel. This came out last month via CBC News, and here's the kicker. This was more than a year after Canada had publicly declared it stopped issuing permits for exports to Israel because of concerns over Gaza. So we said we stopped sending weapons to Israel, but some still ended up there through the US route. Activist groups released a report last fall detailing concerns about hundreds of US-bound shipments ending up in Israel, and CBC News independently verified at least a couple of those shipments. It's the kind of situation that makes the NDP's argument stronger. If we're trying to control where our weapons go based on human rights concerns, but they're getting there anyway through a third party, what's the point of having those controls in the first place? This vote marks the first time Liberal MPs have voted against the Carney government's stated position, which is notable in itself. It shows there are genuine disagreements within the party about Canada's approach to arms exports and how we balance our defense partnerships with our stated values on human rights. The bill failed, but the conversation it started isn't going anywhere. So where does this leave us? Canada's still shipping weapons to the US without permits, the government's defending it as crucial to our defense relationship, and 15 Liberal MPs just publicly disagreed with that approach. It's a rare moment of visible division in the governing party, and it's happening over an issue that connects our trade relationships, our military commitments, and our human rights positions all at once. What do you think? Should Canada apply the same export controls to the US that we use for every other country, or is the current system working fine? Drop your take in the comments because this debate isn't settled just because the vote's over. And if you want to stay on top of every political move happening in Ottawa, subscribe to Canadian Truth. We're breaking down the stories that matter multiple times a day, so you never miss what's actually going on. Catch you in the next